Good morning. Welcome to Ranting Within Reason. I'm Mark Neal, and I'm coming to you from a spot today. We'll call it on location. As I pan, you look behind me, you see that I'm at a cemetery. And as I spin around here and let you see behind me, you see there's a beach behind me. I'm at the American Cemetery at Omaha Beach in Normandy. And I'm here, it's May 21st, and they're just getting ready for the 75th anniversary of the Normandy invasion. And I'm here as part of a whole nother trip, but I'll talk about that later on. Today, I just kind of want to talk a little bit about some things that have sparked my thoughts on this trip as I've come here. Traveling, airports, train stations, all over the place to get here. And just some things that have struck me and being standing here, it's 9:30, almost 10 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday. And just all the people in the cemetery here because people wanted to hate and people wanted to disconnect and they wanted to subjugate and they wanted to eliminate. And it just hit me that we spend a lot of our time, as I look at things going on in our world today and in our country, in the US, and just how much we spend trying to separate rather than come together, how much time we spend trying to put down rather than lift up, and how much time we spend trying to eliminate rather than create. And it just really started to impact me and make me think about these things, because it's just, as we go through time, we don't realize how important the little things are, the relationships, the coming together, the working with each other. We just don't look at that. As I watch these people in the airports, running through the airports, and they're bumping into each other, and they're not saying anything, they're not acknowledging each other, it just really strikes me that why are we so careless with each other? Why do we just not care? It feels like it just doesn't make sense to me. No eye contact, no acknowledgement as a fellow human being. And it's just, I don't get it. These people in here didn't die of old age. They didn't die after a full life. Bonjour. They died prematurely. They died trying to stop people from hating each other so much. And as I sit here and I look at this, I just realize how much I want to do to not have people die like this. And you might look, that's really, he's trying to be all heavy. And I'm really not. What I'm trying to say is, this doesn't have to happen. We don't have to be in this spot. It's the little things. I always say, devil's in the details. It's the little things. It's not the big things. It's the acknowledging somebody. It's the eye contact. It's the saying hello. It's the nodding your head towards them. We acknowledge each other as human beings. We're all in this world trying to get by, trying to get through, trying to do our thing as best we can, right? Why not acknowledge a fellow human being? Why not acknowledge another person and say, you're doing all right. You're doing well. Keep it going. Fantastic. Last night, I was in a restaurant here in Normandy. And I got there, and they asked me if I wanted to sit next to some other people. And I thought, I don't want to get in the middle of the dinner as the tables are right next to each other like that. So I sat on the other side by myself at first. Two ladies walked in, and they started eating. And then 4 couples walked in and sat down. And they were talking, and I could tell they were speaking English. And as we were going, one of the guys, he started talking to the ladies and said, gave a cheer, some sort of a toast. And then he got up and gave him a hug and a kiss. Didn't even know him. And then he walked over to me. Same thing, gave me a hug and a kiss on the cheek. And I thought, well, this guy's... But I said, you know what, I'm going to go with it. Well, when I started to leave, I acknowledged him. We talked for a minute. I said, said something about where they're from. And he says, you know, Welsh. I'm Welsh. And I said, oh. I said, my grandmother's family's from Wales. And we started joking about that. And he said, hey, we look like twins. We really didn't, but we kind of did. You know, we'll take it. And he said, I said, they came to the colonies back in the 1600s. And he said, oh, did they settle in Pennsylvania? Or he said it. He said, they settled in Pennsylvania, I bet. And I said, I couldn't believe it. It blew me away because they did. My mom's family's from Pennsylvania and been there since about the 1600s, late 1600s. And I had no idea how he knew that. But it was that then, you know, they of course said, well, when you come to Wales, make sure you come visit. And we'll hook you up and get with us and all that stuff. And, you know, it just hit me. It was like, whether or not I ever meet up with them anywhere else or anything like that, that was a connection. In that moment was a connection. Took that time. He went out and just injected himself into my life and made a connection. And our whole little side of the room was kind of talking and interacting. And it was an experience. And we talk about it, my wife talks about it all the time, is that our life is supposed to be just a bunch of experiences. And all too often, we sit and we close off and we hold back and we're waiting for that perfect experience. And we're waiting for that big experience. When we don't realize that it's accumulation of the little experiences. Our life and the quality of it is just all these small, seemingly insignificant, disconnected experiences all put together. I used to say it all the time in police work. You watch all the police cars, I see all the police cars roaming around the bar district. Everybody driving like land sharks, you know, circling, waiting for the big frenzy to happen, the fight, whatever, so they could jump out and be cops. And I'm like, why aren't you out walking and talking to people? You know, if you're out walking and talking and making these connections, we may not be having all these bar fights. Just something. I don't know. And as I'm standing here, it completely relates to that. If we spend more time connecting and having these little positive shared experiences, maybe we avoid more of this. Maybe we don't have so much of this because we don't sit back and hold tight to ourselves and wait for the big blow up. Maybe because we're working with each other, and we're connecting with each other, we keep those relationships so that it doesn't get negative, that we don't have the big blow up, that we don't end up with all these men who never had a life and never got to have those long list of quality, tiny little, wonderful, beautiful experiences. Well, it's just something to think about. You might think I'm full of BS or whatever, but I know how I want to live my life, and I know how I want my life to go. And my cousin, he always ends his Facebook posts with the little saying, and I'm not going to say it exactly the way he does, but to paraphrase it, it's something like, as you go about your day, sprinkle a little kindness. And it just really hits me that that's what we should be doing. That's all we need to be doing. And we can save ourselves from all this kind of stuff. I'd rather celebrate the small positive experiences than where we are now celebrating these large negative experiences. Because all we're doing here is we're celebrating our inability to connect. We're celebrating our inability to love one another on a daily basis and accept each other on a daily basis for who we each are. I'd rather do that than come here every year and be reminded of this. These men all made a sacrifice for us to learn lessons. And if we keep doing what we're doing, and we keep putting each other down, and we keep separating, and we keep factionalizing, and we keep trying to eliminate and get rid of, we haven't learned any lessons. And this is a waste. There's no meaning in their sacrifice if we don't learn these lessons. So, I don't know about you, but I think we can learn from these men, and we can do better than we're doing now. So anyway, as you go about today, sprinkle a little kindness. And remember, it's the small things. It's the small things. It's not the big things. Say hi to each other. Well, I'm going to continue on with my day. We'll go down to the beach and then do a few more things here in Normandy, and then I take off tomorrow for the next part of my trip. So thanks for tuning in today, and I'll talk to you later.